Hey friends, it's Armstrong here from Other Miniatures, and today we're gonna be continuing with the Mortal Engine project. Thus far, we got this. This is a garage floor that's gonna be hosting our conversion studio for the Mortal Engine, or whatever you want to call it, for basically Mobile City. And today I want to start on a upper floor of the garage, and let's just get on the table. It's messy as heck, but don't worry, it's happened to me all the time. So yeah, let's just flip the camera and see what I have on the table. And we're on the table. So in here, as you can see, I have a rough outline of the bottom floor. And you probably noticed when I was doing that yesterday that the bottom floor is somewhat crooked, but I just had this piece of plastic card, there, and I decided to use it. So this is, if I want to increase the footprint slightly. So I think that I'm going to do it 14 by 16 centimeters. Yeah, this is gonna allow me to have a bigger area there. This is too short. But basically this I want to cut a hole in the floor where there's gonna be like winches hanging down for hoisting engines and stuff like that. Yeah, so I'm gonna need a little bit more of a floor plan. And how you can see, this is snappable. Yeah. My dog got scared, my wife as well. Yeah, but yeah, I was just snapping the entire sheet, so that's why it made so much noise. And now the 16 centimeters. When you work with plastic card, you don't have to cut the all way through. It's enough to cut a nice score, and this one is quite thick. It's 2 mils. That's why it is so hard to break it. And my thickest plastic card is 3 millimeters, and this one is really a nuisance to break. You need to use some tools, to grip it, especially if you don't have like longer pieces. Like if you want to cut, let's say, half an inch or 1.5 centimeter, you're gonna have to grip it with the tools. But in here you can see just snaps. Yeah. So now, like yesterday, let's just figure out what exactly I want to do in here. So let's quarter it first. And I know that this isn't my way of making stuff, yeah? I'm more of a just let's see how it goes guy. But this have to be a little bit more planned. So this is where the toy car would be sitting on the bottom floor, yeah? So I need roughly this space cut out, and believe me, that's gonna be a nightmare for me, because this is, like I said, a fairly thick plastic card, and cutting it like this, so 5 centimeters from one side. Let's do it 5 centimeters. Okay, I'm gonna do it just 5 centimeters from each side. Yeah, this is gonna give me probably big enough space for 1/72 scale miniatures to stand on it and to build the workshop around the hole in the floor. Five. 5. We have this. So you can see, this is all of that is an area that I'm gonna be able to put minis and all the equipment for the workshop. And now the other one. And I'm just showing, a lot of process in here because some people might be interested, not the others might just say, oh, it's as interesting as pulling teeth. So sorry to that who don't like it. All right, so we have the size of the hole figured out in here. So now I'm gonna just take a blade and cut it out, but it is not interesting, so I'm just gonna be back in a sec. So it took me a couple of minutes of cutting, but I finally got it cut to the size, and that's how the entire thing looks somewhat assembled so far. So what's the next step now with this piece? I think that I need to gribble the floor a little bit. Yeah? What I mean about that, the previous floor was completely flat with just one big square in the middle. And in here the main feature is going to be the floor, because they're going to have a floor and some tools and some guys running around it. So we need to gribble this floor to make it look more interesting. So just grab the scissors and cut the very flat plastic card into strips and pieces. Just when we're gonna be doing quick dry brush with metallics, so it's gonna be able to catch the different shapes glued to it. And why this thin plastic card? Well, this is because I don't want to have too thick of a plastic card on top of this, otherwise the miniature is gonna be wobbly on it. Yeah, and if we're just gonna glue this, just make it, the pattern like, something like I did on one of the first cars in the 14 Days of Gaslands, where I just placed a lot of metal plates on top of it. It's gonna be brilliant to catch the dry brush, and it's just gonna look good instead of just being a plain one plate. And when you think about this, just logically thinking, it would be very hard for them in post-apocalyptic environment to get a flat piece of metal, manufactured to this size. Yeah, so I would think that they would need to just get a lot of different plates and stock them together somehow. So that's exactly what I'm doing, just applying a plastic glue and adding some plates. And with the fact that this plastic card is so thin, I can overlap them nicely, and it's gonna create even nicer effect and not obstruct from movement on these plates. If I want to have miniatures that ain't gonna be glued to the surface, just on their bases, and I want to move them or whatever, it's still possible. So I can I can change the crew who is running this. Well, probably in the game rules it would be count as a big rig, yeah, but that I don't build it for the game right now. I build it because I just have crazy idea and I want to see it realized. Yeah, so it's one of those things with me. And you can see how I'm gribbling this, so I'm gonna just finish this and be back. Alright, so gribbling of the floor is almost done. I use on purpose a Mr. Cement Black because I realized how white on white is looking without any differentiation. So I just use my black tinted plastic glue to show you how it looks. Yeah, because right now it definitely is more contrastive. And now it's just time to finish gribbling. And what I'm doing, because I have all of these panels are flat, yeah. So I grabbed a couple of slices of my diamond plating, which I already used a big chunk earlier. Yeah, now I'm just using the smaller, more to the scale actually one. And I'm just gonna be adding extra paneling from that. And just wanted you to feel my pain together with me, because this is expensive by comparison. Like previous panels, yeah, they pretty much cost me close to nothing. Yeah, and this, you can hear cha-ching going with every single one being glued to it. Yeah, Green Stuff World is getting happy with me. I'm gonna need to order more of this stuff. But it just why I'm doing that, even though it kind of irks me, to spend this material on pretty much a building, really. It's just, to make a different surface. It's gonna look better during the dry brushing, and yeah, there we have it. That's with all of the little details added. So what to do next? I think that next thing we're gonna have to do is probably to manufacture some tables and stuff like that. So I need to actually we're gonna just build walls today, because I just all the equipment for the inside we're gonna do tomorrow. Yeah, it's a better idea in my opinion. So this is gonna be the back wall. Then I'm just gonna glue it in here, and there's gonna be, I'm probably gonna have to cut the doors out in it at least once. So let's just do this. Yeah, that's gonna be big enough for a miniature to go out. So I'm gonna cut it because cutting through this plastic card is painful. Yeah, and then we're gonna start gribbling that. And the workshop gonna have at least 3 walls. So 1, 2, 3. This is the back wall going towards the back of the car, and then like I said, we're gonna gribble them like I did with the floor, but probably on one side we're gonna use the metal plating, yeah, on the outside at least, and we're gonna use some other plastic art, and just build it, stock it together. And then for tomorrow I'm gonna actually have to look up some pictures of car workshops, the mechanics, and figure out what kind of tools I have to create and how to approach this. Yeah, because I didn't actually think this through straight away, and I want this to be semi-realistic, maybe, hopefully, kind of. So yeah, I'm just gonna cut this out and gribble the wall and create the other 2 walls, and we will see what we can do. Of course I'm gonna leave the one gribbling side to show you. Okay, so I have the 2 biggest walls gribbled, and I decided to make a half wall. So what I'm gonna be just doing now is the inner wall. So I want it to be flatter. I don't want it to be very curvy per se. Yeah, and I'm just thinking about leaving like 2 millimeters on the bottom, and I'm just gonna check if it is actually the bottom. Yeah, and the 2 millimeters is here for or even more than 2 millimeters, whenever it's for gluing it together. Yeah, because if I'm gonna have stuff in there, it's gonna be uneven, bumpy, and not fun. So you can see that I just tossed some pieces of plastic card on top, and now I'm grabbing my Mr. Cement Black, and just keep on adding this to the edges. And this is very thin plastic glue, and it is the bonus of it because it's pretty much a tinted acetone. So what's happening here, it's sipping into every single nook and cranny it can get into and just bonding together the plastic pieces. So you can see that those are still moving and those are solid already. And that's why I like the super thin glues, but they, for plastic, as much as I love them, they cannot really be used everywhere. Some stuff just don't like the super thin glue, and sometimes when I'm working with like Warhammer stuff, the super thin glue can be actually problematic. It can, like this plastic card for example, if you try to bend it around the corner or something and you use a plastic glue on it, it's gonna snap, because plastic glue have the tendency to what do you call it, melt the plastic together. Alright, and there we have it, gribbled somewhat. And now the other side, and it's gonna be this bottom in here, that's gonna be the corrugated metal side. So I'm just grabbing the pieces of corrugated tin cans that I made and just gonna be adding them in here. And basically when it starts melting the plastic, the weakest point is gonna get exposed straight away because it's just gonna snap. And this happened to me on plenty of occasions when I was building more of a how to call it, organic shapes. I have this almost finished lizard kind of machinery for my, I don't know for what it is, I was thinking for orcs. But in there I have a lot of organic shapes, compound shapes, and I was going constantly with some snapping plastic art. Oh, come on. The super glue is actually sticking very nice to the plastic, but then it doesn't want to stick too well to the can. And so here just, and this just shows nicely overlapping sheets, which is something that I really like. And maybe I have one which is more under the angle. I could just throw one like here. It doesn't make any difference anymore because it is done. But it's just an idea. And now let's get to assembling this floor. So we know that I want the doors on the back side, so they're gonna be here. And I ain't gonna be going with the plastic glue, I'm just gonna use a super glue in here. Oh, I noticed that I accidentally went over the line. You see, I have in here the line that I marked, and I went over the line with some plastic card, so this is gonna be problematic. So I need to pick it out. Okay. So now let's just give it a nice layer of super glue. It would be lovely if I have a parchment paper in here, but I don't, so I'm gonna glue it in air, because otherwise the super glue gonna sip on the mat and it's gonna get stuck to it, and then when I'm gonna try to remove it, I'm gonna rip the entire project into pieces. And this isn't any easier actually. And I know that I didn't texture the bottom side of this floor, but I'm just assuming that the bottom side gonna be completely invisible from the top, so I'm ignoring it for the sake of convenience. Okay, I see that it is still somewhat problematic, so let's just squirt some more super glue into the corner and go with the old and trusted method of baking soda. Yeah, those corners probably ain't gonna be too visible anyway. If it's gonna save me 5 minutes of work, I'm gonna be happy. Alright, so we have one side glue. It's still kind of flimsy, but then adding the other side is gonna help. Adding this side, yeah, I cut it a little bit longer so it can overlap with the rest. I know that you cannot see it, yeah, but I have this gribbled as well, and yeah, so let's just go and do the same with the super glue if I find it. All right. So you can see, and like I said, this is just a half wall. I didn't want to make a full wall for this because I think that this is gonna be connected to living quarters. So now in here, just the bottom and this side. Okay. All right, I see a issue. I have a little bit of overhang here. Okay. Okay, so now I just have to wait for the glue to dry, and I'm gonna black bomb it and be right back. And here we have it, finally put together and black bombed. Now I have my brush and I'm gonna start going with the metals. And this is very heavy over brush, but it's gonna be on the top of the truck, at least I hope so, unless I'm gonna get some other ideas and build more of it. So I'm gonna have a lot of access, and you know, after I finish putting all of the equipment inside, I'm gonna come back as well with some painting. But I want to just, you know, have this done, because if I'm gonna be putting some stuff in front of this, I don't want to be forced to paint, like I said, in under weird angles and not having a full access to what I want to paint. Yeah, so how you can see, I painted the bottom gray like everything else. Oh, okay, let's get in here. And you know, this is gonna be roasted again, yeah? Like I said, this is just a pre-painting, we would say. But it's already, you know, giving us some idea. Oh, well, yeah, I forgot. No worries. One panel or few gonna be just, you know, brighter, who cares at this stage. Yeah, it is like pre-shading, but it is pre-painting. Yeah, and in here I have some paint still showing up. Yeah, but this is it for today, so let's just throw it on the spin table and see how it looks on it. Okay, so here we have it. The second floor, at least the skeleton of it, the frame of it, all of the walls, the floors being, built. It's not as much as I was hoping to do today, but like I said, I didn't actually look up any reference pictures, and I know that I need a couple of tables, probably some welder, some gas bottles, some toolboxes, but I didn't think about, researching the subject properly, and it is my downfall for today. But, since I'm gonna have an extra couple of hours to think about this, tomorrow I'm gonna be looking up what I should be putting inside of this room. Yeah? And like, I have a soldier in here. I just put him standing. And when he's turning around, you're gonna see the scale of it comparing to the soldier. So it is quite tall room. Yeah? So I assume that they're gonna be able to put some extra shelf or maybe even a walkway on top of it. And have, some extra interest around. But yeah, this is it for today. So if you like it, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share. And of course, everybody have a lovely day and take care.